Hello and welcome to Life of a Diplomat. I'm Ainuri Mengali. To enhance people-to-people ties through economic and political dialogue and eventually bring continents even closer, that's the anthem of the work of our guest today. Having been raised in a family of diplomats and having served in different countries and continents, he brings this experience to his new posting in Kazakhstan. Joining me today is the ambassador of Brazil to Kazakhstan, Marcel Fortuna Biato. Let's get started.
I've come to appreciate, and I just mentioned this before, this idea of trying to understand what it means to be a nomad. Countries like Kazakhstan have a fundamental role to play as we move forward, sort of touching our way towards the future of the international system. We are at a stage where I see a lot of potential, which has to be realized. Brazil has 200 million inhabitants, and we feed roughly 1.5 billion people in the world.
Oh, wow. Yes, it's very impressive.
I think this is an expression of authority, meaningful pride,
Yes.
a sense of autonomy, of someone who is in his youth, but has a gravitas.
Hello, the ambassador.
Hello, pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to
welcome
meet you.
to Brazil's house.
Thank
in
you.
Kazakhstan.
Thank you, and welcome to the program Life of a Diplomat. Step silence or samba rhythm?
Well, for now, step silence is very, very nice.
Shubat or coconut water?
Again, I haven't tried shubat, so I have to go out into the country to taste it.
Great. Dombra or berimbau?
No, dombra, I've seen it in many different places, and the sound is beautiful.
Yeah, so probably dombra.
Yes, yes, dombra.
Nauruz or carnival?
Well, Nauruz for me was a very, very interesting experience. I loved it.
Great. Tian Shan or Pantanal?
Tian Shan, also a challenge. I haven't been, but I'm sure I'm going to love it when I go.
Great. Baursak or Brigadeiro?
Balshak.
Baursak.
Too much sugar.
Yeah.
Brigadeiro.
Yeah. Asik or capoeira?
Asik, I haven't tried, but capoeira is very difficult. So maybe I'll try that.
Yeah. Yurt or rainforest hut?
I already have my yurt here.
Great. Kazakh eagle hunting or Amazon fishing?
Wow. I'll have to try I saw it at festivities, the falconry.
Yes,
Beautiful.
it's quite popular,
Yeah.
Kazakh legends or Brazilian jungle myth?
Well, I'm studying now the Kazakh, as we just spoke about. So I'm looking forward to learning more about Kazakh Romeo and Juliet.
You've joined, if I'm not mistaken, Brazil's diplomatic service in 1980s.
Yeah, long time ago.
Long time ago. And you earned a master's in political sociology from the London School of Economics, and you also served while serving in London. So my first question is, what led you to diplomacy? And my second part of it is, how does academic background, academic research influence your diplomatic approach later on?
Well, I have to confess, I am of a diplomatic family. My father was a diplomat, I have a brother who's a diplomat, and now I have a son-in-law who's a diplomat. So it's in the blood, I guess. So that necessarily conditions you. I would say that having lived overseas for much of my youth, it helped me understand that sometimes to better understand your own country, you have to look from outside. And so bringing that together with the academic side of it, I am so much interested in my country that sometimes you have to take a step back to be able to analyze it more, let's say, theoretically or conceptually. And so that helps explain maybe the academic linkage to diplomacy. But ultimately, it's about meeting people. It's about having new experiences and learning about all the different ways in people live and their ideas and appreciating the diversity of the way people live. I think that is something that is fascinating, even today, as I've come for the first time to Central Asia.
You've mentioned that you've raised in a family of diplomats. Your father and your brother served as ambassadors of your country.
Yes.
So how did it shape your worldview in general?
I think the most important thing is that it makes you respect differences of opinion, difference of values, but that ultimately we have all to respect and understand each other if we want to get along. And that's what diplomacy is about. It's not about just accepting that someone is different. It is about understanding the difference and realizing how that can enrich you personally and your own experience, professional, personal, and your country.
How did all that experiences prepared you for your current role here in Central Asia? Tell us more about your experience here in this region.
Well, as I said, I had never lived here, and both my professional and even academic background have made this a very challenging experience for me to understand the reality of a part of the world which is not well known in my part of the world. And that's one of the challenges we have. I like to say that Brazil and Kazakhstan are separated less by geography than by mentality. I mean, there are countries further away from Brazil than Kazakhstan.
Yeah.
The extreme east, China, Japan, Korea, we have strong relationships with these countries. Many of them, we have immigrants. A large immigrant population from these countries came to Brazil in the past. So the challenge is, how do we overcome this distance of disinformation, which sometimes generates prejudice and fake news? So this has been one of my core interests. I see there is a lot to be done. There are many areas of work. We can discuss this later. But I think fundamentally, I've come to appreciate, and I just mentioned this before, this idea of trying to understand what it means to be a nomad, if not in practice, at least in spirit. And I like to believe that as a diplomat, I am a nomad in many ways.
Yes.
And as I mentioned to you,
nomad.
I'm a professional nomad. And as I said to you, I carry my personal yurt. So it's not the physical structure, it's the content. So all that you see around here is things that I have been hoarding
really?
for
so
about
you
40
carry
years.
It with you.
Yeah, so I think it's a way of having my personal experience and professional. Every piece of art that we have here has a story, why it was bought, or why it was inherited, or why it was given, and the context. All these things mean that I feel my life.
How would you describe the current state of diplomatic and economic cooperation between Brazil and Kazakhstan?
Well, our countries, as I said, have relations, have embassies for the last 10, 15 years. I think that we are far from our potential. Kazakhstan exports mainly certain commodities like fertilizer, which are very important for agriculture, and sulfur. We export relatively more high-end manufactured products like agricultural machinery, and we export planes. So Astana has a series of Brazilian planes.
Wow.
But part of the difficulty, I think, is the infrastructure, which is a big challenge. So we hope that as this region develops its infrastructure, both towards the east and the west, as we see, this will make, let's say, trade between our countries more, let's say, efficient and more profitable. Countries like Kazakhstan have a fundamental role to play as we move forward, sort of touching our way towards the future of the international system. I think just last week, the meeting of the C5+1 with China in this case, there was one with Europe just recently, and there's been quite a few others. I think just attests to the fact that Kazakhstan, within the wider Central Asian region, has become an area of increasing attention and visibility.
You've mentioned economic cooperation, the importance of economic cooperation. Do you notice, is there any interest, growing interest from Brazilian businesses, Brazilian companies into this market, into this part of the world?
Yes, we have about 5 or 6 big Brazilian companies here working in, I mentioned this, it's a consultancy firm really, but there are others in the area of food exports, big companies that would like to invest in in food processing here. There are companies working with major pumps and power generation. And there is Embraer, which is a major exporter of planes. There are other countries interested in bringing agricultural technology, others interested in the area of business management, where I think we have a lot to offer.
What about science, technology, and innovation? How does these fields play its role in our cooperation?
Unfortunately, today, very little. So one of the things that I've done, I've approached a series of universities here. I've begun here in Astana with Maksud,
Narikbayev University.
And Nazarbayev, and we are organizing events with them. We're trying to begin an academic exchange. And in the case of Nazarbayev, we've moved a step further. We're discussing possibilities in terms of mining, aerospace, agriculture.
What is your look ahead now? What is your focus on
in terms of the agenda?
Of the agenda.
Yes, well, we have had an embassy here for about 15 years. Kazakhstan a little less, back in Brazil. We are at a stage where I see a lot of potential, which has to be realized. And some of the areas are very clear. For example, in the area of agriculture, Brazil made a technological revolution in agriculture. It took a part of our land which was savanna, like the steppe, very large area, fairly, let's say, difficult weather, rigorous weather. Soil was not very good, and it transformed it into one of the most productive agricultural areas in the world. And we believe this can be done and should be done here. So there is a
Something
Brazilian
we should
farmer.
learn, yes, about.
Yeah, there's a Brazilian farmer who's coming here. He's been here in the past, and he wants to plant soya because he believes that you can have very high productivity.
Yes, as some experts note, with the potential that Kazakhstan has in terms of its territories
and it's very flat land.
Yes.
So I would guess, I don't know, but I would guess that it's probably one of the 3 or 4 countries with the greatest arable land potential on Earth.
And it can feed more than billions of people,
well,
actually.
Brazil has 200 million inhabitants, and we feed roughly 1.5 billion people in the world.
You've contributed academic writings on Latin American politics, international criminal court, global governments, and even the law of the sea.
Yeah, in New York, I worked with Law of the Sea.
Yes, that's great. So in Kazakhstan, how do you leverage this scholarly background to promote multilateral cooperation in issues like climate, society, and sustainable development?
It's a challenging question. I think all these issues are part of the international agenda. And Kazakhstan is a country that's opening itself to this international agenda. So, for example, I was in Vienna working with nuclear affairs, and Kazakhstan was a pioneer in proposing and developing a nuclear reservoir that is available for international community. Kazakhstan is very, let's say, forceful in defending non-proliferation at the same time as it wants to develop a nuclear industry. Brazil had the same situation. Law of the Sea, Brazil was one of the proponents of the Law of the Sea going back in the 1970s. It had to do with the continental shelf, it had to do with using the resources of the seas. Kazakhstan, being a Mediterranean country, I don't call you a landlocked country because you
still have Caspian.
Yeah, you have Caspian, and who knows what the Aral Sea might still become again in the past. But these are issues in which there's a lot of work to be done. International law, respect for international law is so critical. In the area of let's say, the Latin American component of it, I would say that we are regions that do not, as I said, do not really know each other very much. But I will give you one example, which I think is very interesting. Kazakhstan is part of Central Asia. Central Asia is beginning to organize itself as a region. The first thing it did was put an end to ethnic conflicts and associated border disputes. Your last border dispute was solved this year. At the same time, you're beginning to look at how to coordinate on fundamental issues like water resources.
Yes.
We in the south of, my first job in 1981 was to work in an agency between Brazil and its immediate neighbors, the southern cone of South America, to coordinate policy on water resources, fisheries, environmental issues, which is exactly the issues which this region is facing.
Yes,
yeah.
as well.
So I have suggested to the Foreign Office that I think the institutional experience we in the Southern Cone developed over how to manage and coordinate the use of water resources between countries that have that share these resources is something interesting.
And finally, yes, in terms of cultural dialogue, cultural exchanges, what's our recent initiatives?
Well, one thing you probably do not know is that there are 5 Brazilian ballet dancers at the Astana Ballet.
Yes.
And the headbands and the 2 first, or at least two of 3, are Brazilian.
I didn't know about it.
So we are going to organize for our national holiday in September a dance fest with music. So we will have Brazilians dancing traditional ballet, which is French and Russian or whatever, Italian. And then we'll have them dance modern Brazilian contemporary dance.
Oh.
And then we'll have the Kazakh component. We would like to have Kazakhs know a bit more about Brazilian painting, because each painting has a story. That's about the Brazilian, our past as slaves. That has to do with our culture. This is our Japanese heritage. This is a Japanese Brazilian painter.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And it goes on and on and on. That one is about immigration, the words coming in and out. And I've got my first Kazakh painting.
All that meanings behind are very interesting.
So art and sports really transcend. We have, as I'm sure you maybe know, a large number of Brazilian football players in five-a-side as well as large. We have jiu-jitsu trainers here. I was very, very touched about a month ago. There was a World Championship, I think it is, of Paralympic judo.
Yeah.
And Paralympic judo is for people who are blind. And so the Brazilian team played, won a lot of medals, and we are now and there's going to be a championship in Brazil in December, and we want to invite the Kazakhs to go ahead and train with the Brazilians. And
that would be good exchange.
But the message is, people, can you imagine someone who is blind, he lives in his country, and he learns a sport, a physical contact sport, and he travels across the world to practice it with other people in a similar situation.
Yeah, so what was something maybe that left a particular impression in terms of maybe cultural experiences, maybe travel, something that you've experienced?
Yeah, we have not had too much time to travel. We've only gone to Almaty, but maybe one of the most significant is how welcoming people are. Culture is important. So people here do not smile the same way we smile. But so you have to understand by other body
language,
what they are saying. And this is one of the interesting experiences, because once you realize that not smiling like we smile is not a sign of distance, you realize how open and engaging they are. And whenever we speak about Brazil, people light up, they smile, they talk about football or culture or whatever, and there is an immediate interest and curiosity. I've been to shops where people say, no, you don't have to pay, you can take, well, it wasn't that much, but you can take, so a very strong sense of, despite the distance, there is a connection and people appreciate. And that is something that for me is very important. And I would like to see happen in Brazil.
And by the way, among your beautiful paintings here, we've noticed this beautiful painting. Tell us more about it.
So I've had the opportunity. I believe that, as I said, culture and sports. I think culture in general is the highest expression of what people are. And so in my house, I have a lot of things from Brazil, but a lot of things from other countries as well, where I've lived or I've been. Because not only do they help keep in my mind that experience, what I learned, what I enjoyed, but also a message about the importance of cultivating other cultures and other nationalities. I think this is an expression of authority, of meaningful pride, of sense of autonomy, of someone who is in his youth, but has a gravitas, has an authority, an inner strength, which is expressed without words.
General thought is bringing together our continents.
Bringing people together,
our continents.
More human, person-to-person contacts, so that everything will then derive from that.